Summertime means it's time for the Allen and Company conference in Sun Valley.
But even though it makes big news every year, we really don't get a sense beyond the canned experience of what the conversations are like. So we've decided to recreate what a lot of the talk might have been.
So welcome to the first annual Future Forward Summer Camp, virtually.
We're going to have some big names and people we know pretty well, including Tim Cook, Jack Dorsey, Elon Musk, and Mark Zuckerberg.
Some pretty provocative one-on-one conversations, even if they are slightly invented. I'm Stephen Rosenbaum.
And I'm Gene DeRose, and this is Future Forward.
So let's launch.
All right.
So Gene, before we're going to get to summer camp in a minute, so just keep the corn and the watermelon off to the side for a second. And first we'll do our loving and hating. But I want to just explain to our listeners kind of what the premise here is.
Yeah, let's.
We're going to put together some characters. We're going to eavesdrop over some virtual conversations, and we'll play some roles here. But again, we do have some, I don't want to say inside information, but we have a sense of some of the conversations that could well be taking place. And so
and some ones that we think should be taking place, even if there may not be at the heart of the kind of M&A talk. And I'm a little at a disadvantage since you're more of the seasoned improv guy, but I'm game.
All right. But let's begin with loving and hating. Gene, what are we loving and hating this week?
Yeah, so this is going to be the second straight week where I lead with hating because I like to present what are the possibilities after experiencing some frustration. And in the spirit of summer, it's movie time and it's going out to the movies. And so what I'm hating this week, with an asterisk or two, is Fandango. And, for those of us that have been around for a while, we know the history of, 777 film and movie phone, and Fandango is kind of settled in as the main guy. But the frustrations I have is how unwieldy and kind of lacking the real support you want. And really, ultimately, something like that only is as good as its completeness is. And for whatever reason, you've got the stragglers in our New York tri-state area. 20% of the theaters are not capable of being booked there. So it becomes a little of, I just think nothing has innovated in that space since 1998, and it should be better. What do you think?
Well, I gotta tell you. So I went to the movies Friday night, and I was down at the Angelica. I don't know what was going on, but there was some movie pass meltdown of some sort, and there were people in lines and shoving, and they were yelling, "If you're a movie pass customer, don't come to the box office. Call the 800 number." And I was like, "Oh."
Yeah, that's craziness. If that's happening, that's a very, very bad sign. I think you've got, these things might be better nestled into a much, much larger companies. I think some of them actually are. But for whatever reason, it just doesn't seem like they support them deeply enough or do enough to make them the opportunities they could be too. I'm sure they just make a good little chunk of change off of those fees, and so it's a kind of a sleepy, non-progressive business. So
Yeah, what are you loving?
So on the flip side, I'm going a little, sideways, but we're in a slight renaissance of the local art house, and we're very lucky in Westchester, New York, to have a thing called the Jacob Burns Film Center and the Jacob Burns Media Center. And it's like a lot of art houses that you see in small towns, but they've gotten very progressive and innovative and enterprising, which is to say, actually, it has like Ron Howard and Steven Spielberg and a very big endowment. So there's a lot of reason for this. But in addition to having a great series and great movies, as you would expect, because they're in New York, we're getting a lot of pre-premieres with the directors or the screenwriters or whoever else, doing Q&A after you see the movie. We saw Moonlighting before it even, launched. But the real reason that I'm talking about it now is that they have a thing that's called the Jacob Burns Media Center attached to it, which is a education and kids-centric little media school. And all my kids have gone through and taken an animation class or a CGI class or learned how to be a screenwriter or whatever. And it's just It's really great. It's in the community. They bring kids in need upstate a couple times a year. It hits all the right notes, and we need more of that stuff.
So definitely in our summer theme. It's very nice movies. So let's get to the Future Forward Summer Camp.
Yeah.
We invited a lot of executives that we thought had the potential to be valuable, do deals, get things done. One of the things that we had trouble with, and I want to just say this up front because we're going to get some grief for it. Boy, we had a tough time finding women. I mean, both
Yeah.
you and I have run conferences, and we wanted our panels to be mixed. We want lots of different faces and voices, and we wanted, real, balanced and interesting panels. And at the C level, we essentially struck out. I
Yeah,
mean,
and it's look, it's slightly better than it used to be, but historically, and it's kind of what you're saying. You never really want to feel like um, you're bypassing on what intrinsically should be the right topics and the right peoples because you feel a responsibility to load in this or that. I mean, we don't even go near minorities, because that's another terrible problem. But it really becomes tough, and it reflects.
so,
It's actually no better. It might be a little worse than it is in corporate America in general.
all right. So the first
That is a
conversation.
disclaimer.
So the first conversation that we spied at our virtual summer camp was a one we weren't expecting. It was in the kind of in the lodge area, and it was late at night, and no journalists allowed, so it was just you and I and a couple of people, and there was Tim Cook having coffee with Jack Dorsey. I guess it was maybe late in the afternoon, and we can now report somewhat fictitiously um, how that conversation went. And for the purposes of this surreptitious fake recording, I will play Tim Cook, and Gene will play Mr. Dorsey.
Call me
So
Jack.
so here we go. So Jack, you do understand that you at Twitter you really could be closing the network down and being much more restrictive in the way that you let people interact with it, and maybe wouldn't be breaking the democracy quite so badly.
Well, we don't believe in that. We patrol and manage through terms of service a lot of this stuff, but we believe that free speech is an important part of this, and the good that has been done by Twitter far outweighs these treacherous things that we all have to keep an eye on and discuss. And I don't know, Tim. I think you're kind of shooting from a place of convenience, not really managing a social network yourself.
Yeah. So let me explain something. Everyone says that about us, and here's what they don't get about Apple. Like, it's not like we don't get a social network. We explicitly do not want to be in that business. Like
Yeah.
going back to to my friend Steve's real vision, it was about a highly curated, highly managed network in which everything that comes onto the Apple platform is quality. And
Well,
so
yeah.
we could open the doors, and then we'd have the same noisy mess you have.
Well, look, we're philosophically in different camps there. You believe in closed, controlled experiences, and as good as you've done, it hasn't always been for the best of digital and startups. And actually, by my watch, I only have
Wait,
30 seconds
wait,
because I'm very orderly with my life,
wait.
and I
Hold on,
need to
hold on,
move
hold on.
on.
Oh no,
What?
don't leave yet. Don't leave yet because I have a more important question for you. Since we're doing deals here, could I get Apple Pay onto the Square network? Because that would be cool.
I might have to refer you to me in 30 minutes because right now I'm wearing my Twitter hat and my board might not be approving this right now and before I talk to some of the directors.
All right, so scene. And by the way, I bet it would have gone just about. So we
Yeah.
were talking before the podcast about the fact that in real life, Tim Cook would have seen Jack Dorsey and they would have walked in opposite directions.
Right, right, right. They might have
So,
been forced together at certain times and probably should be, but that's part of the point of all this. So let's see what the next one has to say.
all right, so now we're off on the tennis court. And, you know, the thing about the tennis court is it's hot, the sun is beating down. Again, no journalists. And here's a pairing you probably wouldn't have expected to see. Mark Zuckerberg is is in mixed doubles with Mark Thompson from the New York Times. And, you know, you know, let's presume for the purposes of this little engagement that it was a tie. No, when it comes to tennis, as opposed to other things, it was a fair fight. Everybody had a nice time. It was very equitable. And now they're sitting on the bench. They're all in their tennis whites, slightly exhausted. And
All
Mark,
right. I'm
you'll
Mark.
you'll be Mark, and
Yep.
I'll be two Marks. You'll be Mark Zuckerberg,
Yeah.
and I will be Mark
Exactly.
Thompson. And
So I'll be Mark. I'll start out as Mark. Um, Good game, Mark. Good match. That was great. I'm sorry I was late. They wouldn't let me on the court with my T-shirt on. I had to go borrow a collared shirt. But before we part ways, I just want to make sure you're okay with how things are going. We've made adjustments to the news feeds. We're trying to honor and put in places of respect more reputed news sources like you, and not let the rabble control too much. Are you happy with how it's going?
well, if we were on a panel in public, I would tell you how great we're doing, and the revenues are up, and more people are interested in the news business, and digital's growing. I would tell you all this good stuff.
Oh, but not so
Yeah.
true.
Well, it's true-ish, but no, I mean, you guys, you change not just the algorithm, but your business practices and your standards kind of like every other day. And, I have a whole building full of people that don't get to do that. So, you got us all excited about the live video space, and you paid us, I think, $1 million, and we spun up a whole live video strategy. And then you went, yeah, never mind.
Yeah.
And when you got a fire hose of money like you do, you can afford to be a little bit whimsical about these things. But it'd be great if you'd like stick to a business strategy regarding the news business for more than 6 months. What do you think about that?
Well, I do feel we've always tried to overcompensate with you. You at the Times have always been a little angry. We had Donald Graham on our board, and then now Jeff Bezos is really going gangbusters with a little more innovation than you guys have had. And I think that I think you have every opportunity. And I watch the Times every night on my saved video.
Yeah. So the thing that's working for us right now, and that we're pretty excited about, is the daily. You guys really aren't in the podcasting space, and we're happy about that. Just stay away, stay off. You ignore audio, and we'll just grow that business.
Yeah, well, we've debated strongly whether we should have more of a default audio, but for now we haven't gone in that direction. We understand whether it's podcasts or more video playing, it might work better. But our market research says that really annoys customers.
Well, that's great. I got to get back to see the rest of my folks, but do me a favor. The next time you talk to Campbell Brown, just tell her to play nice.
Okay, I'll try. And here's the collared shirt you lent me.
By the way, I gotta say, you play a very good Zuckerberg.
I tried to stiffen up and have that little plaintive tone in my voice.
I wanted to get away from that tennis match badly. All right, so the next one is going to be different. Tim Armstrong finds himself late at night. It's been a long day, and he sidles up to the bar, and there he is sitting next to Jeff Bezos. So let's see how that conversation proceeds. For the purposes of this, you're going to be Tim, and I'm going to be Bezos. Yeah. All right. So
Jeff, hey, we met when I was at ABC a long time ago, and at Google. I've got some problems right now with my boys at Verizon, and I'm looking to spin out Oath, and I'm also wondering if I could find the right partnership or financing. Are you in the hunt for anything that might be, and at worst, do you have any advice?
We're pretty interested in pharmaceuticals at the moment, uh, but I don't think that works for you. Let's see. I like the Washington Post. But that's not an Amazon deal. That's a Bezos family investment. Um, but let me just get right to the point. Do you think you can sell stuff?
That's what I do. That's where I've made my bread and butter.
No, no,
I
no, no, no,
built.
no, 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 no. You misunderstand. I don't mean, can you sell stuff? I mean, does whatever this amalgam of things, oath things that you've got, can it sell dog food? Can it sell diapers?
Yeah, it's funny. We're very tactile, but we try to sell those ads and the branding and the bouncing people from one remnanty social media game app to another, and it pays the bills. Some of this affiliate stuff you do frightens and confuses me, but I could play ball, but I'm a little more interested in the media side of your world. What about Prime and figuring out how to get some of your video assets a little more fluid and ad supported? Is that of any interest to you?
You know, sure. Everything seems, everything's firing on all cylinders with us. How much money do you think you need? Are we talking like, a couple 100,000? Are we talking about, a billion, a couple billion? Do you have a number?
I start with nine zeros with my discussion. So if it ain't a billion, it ain't worth going after. And so far, it's worked out pretty well. But I don't know. I'm going to be shaken loose from this telecom nonsense pretty quickly. And there's only another 18 months of AOL ISP service on my books, and then it's free sailing.
So of all of these fictitious conversations we've represented so far, that one was the cagiest. You know,
Yeah. I
I,
mean, I don't know. It's an interesting one, and I mean, Tim is a really nice guy and a really smart guy for an incredibly fast talk, smart, strategic player, squeezing blood out of the rock.
All right, so we've got two more. Let's well, we at least two more, but maybe yeah, two more for sure. All right, so let's the next one. Everyone's arriving at the registration desk. It's early in the event, and here are two guys who've been in the room together. They know each other well. They're unclear whether they're friends or colleagues but Rupert Murdoch and Bob Iger at the Future Forward summer camp. And for the purposes of this little presentation, I'm going to play Mr. Murdoch, who has been able to work the summer whites open collar shirt thing pretty well. And you're going to be Iger, and so I'm going to start. So Bob, I'm just wondering. I know we've done our deal and all that, and we're going to spin off and retain the news assets, and we're going to retain the Fox News assets and all that. Could I interest you in just tucking the Fox News product into the deal, and just like we'd throw it in as a freebie, just to kind of get it off our books?
Ha, very funny, Rube. Look, though we're the oldest guys with great hair out there, and I don't mean those DeRozan, Rosenbaum guys, you're going to cause me trouble. The best part about this deal is all the bad stuff and all that Trump and Roger Ailes stuff is not going to be afflicting my properties if I'm taking them on. If anything, I would take some of your sports properties on, but for now, I'll stick to the pure entertainment, filmed stuff and video and all that good digital stuff that you've been doing, as much as I can scrape away that hard line republicanism.
Well, the only thing I'll say is this: my boys, I love my boys, but I'm leaving them with some assets. I'm not sure exactly how they're going to manage it, but you're telling me that's what it is. I guess they'll have to sort it out.
Well, if I was going to offer you a little bit of advice, I would be a little careful just leaving the entire store to those boys. I don't quite understand why you don't just lump it all in with your newspaper and Wall Street Journal and news assets. Those do seem to be what that's all about. again, sell me some of that sports stuff. That might be of a little bit of interest. But otherwise, why are you even doing this anymore, Roop? You should be long out of this game.
Well, what it's what they call those assets. I don't call them this, but internally, what they call them is our toxic assets. So
Well, yeah.
Profitable though, wildly profitable.
Of course, and look, the hardest and most painful part about this deal is you're retaining some of the most profitable parts of the asset base, and I'm left doing the same old roller coaster ride with billion-dollar movies. But that's the way we've rolled here, so we think we can keep it going.
And scene.
It's a tough one. That maybe is a tough one, and I'm glad I wasn't in the other role, because I would have completely been dumb enough to try to mangle an Australian brogue.
All right, next up, someone you've never heard of, but you'll be hearing a lot more from. First time at the camp, Hans Vestberg, newly named CEO of Verizon, and he ends up having a drink with Randall Stephenson, who's the CEO of AT&T, and I'm gonna play Verizon CEO. You just call me Hans.
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to call you Randall because your name is Randall.
Yeah, you can go Randy after the third drink. So,
all right.
Look, Hans, talk about the ultimate frenemies. We are completely at war in the most practical matters. But look, we're both carriers. We're both deliverers of ISP. We have to make sure that we, split our conversations and our relationship into pure death cage matches and complete co-opt leverage, sharing the monopoly and making sure that we have our rights. And I'm a little worried about all this OTT stuff, all these Netflix guys. What do you think we should do about them? Then we'll talk after that about how we're fighting over building our own versions. But for now, how do we stop Netflix?
Well, I want to say something different. I don't think we're in the same business. I think you're going one way and I'm going another. I think you made a decision that you want to be in the television business, and I think more power to you. Just as long as you hand all those phone customers to me, so you can keep trying to shove your DirecTV product down their throat, and then in turn, I'll just build a great big 5G network with really solid web and mobile, and we'll call it a day, and we'll see who wins.
Well, look, we both still have those boxes and phones that Apple and Google may say that's those are their products, but they carry our control, and the more we can do to squeeze cash out of that, the better. And from what I hear, you're unloading some of that stuff, some of that Armstrong stuff, and I know that makes you more of a pure play telecom guy, but you got to get strategic on some of this stuff. I don't think people are going to let that FiOS lack of service rule the day forever.
You want to talk to Tim? He's right over there, and I think he's even got a business plan in his bag. He'd probably be happy to hand it to you. You take a read. Maybe you could just take that off our hands. That might be okay.
Honestly, we did have a brief conversation, but he didn't have any interest in having any more discussions with telecom-like entities because he wants to find a different kind of home.
All right. Well, we are out of time. Okay.
We have one more, which I guess
we got one more. We got one more.
I don't know, one more. Hastings one.
Yep, that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, so let's do it because it's a little bit of weird paint on the wall.
All right. So Elon Musk is there. He's in a golf cart. He's driving along, and he picks someone's hitching a ride back to the hacienda, and it's Reed Hastings. So there they are, Elon and Hastings in a golf cart at the Full Frame summer camp. And
I'll lead. I'm Elon. Reed, it's good to meet you. And glad you were able to grab a ride. I'm the only one with a triple golf cart for all my kids. It's been really great being here for a few days. I actually haven't seen them because I've been just bouncing back and forth between calls and launches and fighting the press. And I'm on a really get my hands on that Dorsey guy because Twitter has really got me pissed off. But you don't cause any problems. How are things in the what net flight? What's your business again?
Now, you're in the flight business. I'm in the Netflix business.
Oh, flicks.
Well, first of all, let me just say,
sorry,
the fact
Disney.
that you sent some SpaceX guys to help those kids out of that cave, I thought was really generous. It was a little strange that everyone was having to wear SpaceX jumpsuits.
Yes.
Seemed a little like a branding exercise, but, I was glad you helped out.
Well, if it didn't, we would be boring into the side of the mountain, but we were not ready with that product yet. But, well, you have congratulations on what you've pulled off with that business, but, I would never go after a business like that. High risk, lots of investment. You never own anything. How are you going to keep those television guys at bay?
So, it's easier than people realize. You start with the fact that the television business is a business of creatives, and you start by just not treating them really badly. You give them a little bit of running room, you pay them fairly, you let them, no, they're not happy about what they get on the back end, but that being said, a little bit of respect, and, Sarandos is great with the creatives, and we've been making really good shows, and that's what the audience wants.
Wow. I don't know how you could give up that creative control. I'm still chief scientist and, the leader of the vision of all of my products and assets. Well,
but hold on. But Elon, don't pretend you're not a showman. You put your Tesla in your rocket ship with a fake character in the seat and put it on video.
Yes. Yeah.
We would have put that on Netflix in a heartbeat if we had that feed.
Well, if you would consider some more live programming, we are going to have a lot more assets. When people saw our testing of some of the launchers and they're landing upright, that was a major moment. That was Ed Sullivan kind of thing from what I read about Ed Sullivan.
I gotta say, it was pretty brilliant. It was pretty brilliant.
So.
That being said, I don't think we have a transaction because I'm not going into space, and you're not looking to buy a OTT company. So maybe we can just sit here and drink.
Well, what I might want to sell you on is the satellites that we're going to be putting out there to sort of re-engineer the efficiency of a lot of how this traffic flows back and forth. You could get an inside track on that, although you're still going through all these other carriers, so I don't know how to sort that out. You may just be a third party.
And see. All right. So by the way, of all of our little engagements, it seems like Elon and Reed were like the most friendly.
Yeah, they were friendly. They basically didn't have anything much to disagree about. I don't think I did it because I'm not the actor. I wish I was. I'm a little more of a critic. But the thing about Elon that amazes me, because he does, from what I hear, he is generally a nice guy, but all of his public appearances, he is completely disinterested in anything except what he is talking about, or he's not able to answer who his.
I think he's worked the boring company joke to death.
Yeah. Oh my God, he's a.
All right, we are out of time.
This is fun.
Camp is officially. We got to go back to our bunks. Everyone back to their bunks. Have a great rest of the summer week, and we will be back next week to explore the future further.
Keep spraying the DEET.
See you next week.
Yes, sir.